The last bucket of being wealthy is the financial wealth. And this is defined as your financial assets minus your financial liabilities, and a figure often referred as net worth. Now, on your scorecard, there's an added nuance. Your liabilities include your expectations of what you need, your definition of enough. This is so critical in financial planning, and this is one of our questions in my onboarding process with new clients. What is your definition of enough? What does enough means to you? If your expectations rise faster than your assets, you will never have a life of true financial wealth because you'll always need more. Financial wealth is built upon growing income, managing expenses, and investing the difference in long-term assets that compounds meaningfully over time. This is what we mean by transferring your peak earnings years into lasting financial independence. There's this concept called hedonic adaptation, that biological predisposition to return to a baseline after a positive event means that no financial win ever quite satiates. So that means that's why when you have a new car after a few months, you're not really as excited about that new car anymore. If you have a home, you might be excited when you first got your home, but now you realize that all your friends are getting nicer home than you. So then that home is not bringing you that same joy anymore that it used to do when you first move in, because you're going back to that baseline. So your current definition of more becomes your future definition of not enough as you set your sights on the next level that you convince yourself will bring happiness and contentment. And this is a huge trap. That's why setting your sight on something that when I'll have a nicer car, I'll be happy. When I'll have this, I'll be happy. And I tend to be very guilty of that in terms, even in my own business. When my business will be to this level, I'll be happier and whatnot. But setting your sights on future definition or future expectations can really lead to unhappiness. So if your expectations are growing faster than your assets, you will never have the true definition of or financial wealth. Your aim then becomes building financial wealth through income generation, expense management, and long-term investments, up to the point where it enables that enough life that you've defined. So it's really important to define what's enough and then work backwards. What you need to earn, how can you spend, and then how can you get to that point of financial independence? What is your number, so to speak? That's another term in financial planning. When you reach that number, then works become optional. Because if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it. So let's cover the three buckets. Income generation. This is create stable, growing income through primary employment, secondary employment, and passive streams. This is where focusing on your career, your education, your skills, whether you're employed or whether you're a business owner, regardless of the route that you took, your income is the most important as far as setting the bar of how much is coming in. And then after that, you can make the other decisions. But that's where you need to start. Then you need to look at the expense side, which is entirely in your control. Manage expenses so that they're reliably below your income level and grow at a slower rate. This is key because it's very easy to inflate your lifestyle as your income increases. So being able to grow your income faster than your expenses and increasing that gap is really key to building long-term financial wealth. And then the long-term investments is invest the difference between your income and your expenses in long-term efficient, low-cost assets that compound effectively, which is exactly the investment methodology that we implement for clients. Keep them things simple, efficient, that compounds meaningfully well over time in order to allow them to reach all their financial goals. The gap between your income and your expenses is the most important tool in your financial independence toolkit. And it's the tool that you get to create. It's in your power. And the gap that you generate, the difference between your income and your expenses, is the foundational asset on which financial wealth is built. The reason is simple. You can cut your expenses only so much, but you can increase your income forever. That's why when you're a business owner, yes, your income might be more volatile and might be more risky than someone who may be employed. Again, but if you're employed, you can get laid off anytime. But if you're a business owner, you tend to have the ability to massively increase your income depending on the role that you're in and the type of sector and business that you're running. But most likely, you'll be able to increase your income much faster than someone who might be trapped into an employment where it's a bit more set in stone as far as what the income growth looks like. Now, there's no right or wrong. Each route comes with huge trade-offs. So I don't think there's any right or wrong. I think what's key is knowing the income trajectory that you're on, having a really good control of your expenses, and then making sure that that gap you're maximizing your opportunity to invest it and invest it wisely so that you make your money work for you, which is, by the way, one of the biggest problem that I'm seeing, or missed opportunity that I'm seeing when clients reach out, is that gap that they've created. Usually they might park it into a GIC. I've seen that multiple times, hundreds of thousands of dollars just parked into a corporate account because they didn't know what to do with it. And that can be extremely costly over time. And that's what I help you with, is making sure that gap is maximized based on your goals. The first rule of compounding: never interrupt it unnecessarily. This is a famous quote by Charlie Munger. Also, I want to talk about side note on Warren Buffett. How did he amass his wealth? So again, based on when this book was written, Warren Buffett had a net worth of over 130 billion. Figure made even more stunning by the fact that the vast majority of this wealth was built after his 60th birthday. So according to the most estimates, he reached 1 million at the age of 30, 25 million at the age of 40, 375 million at the age of 50, and 1 billion at the age of 56. That means that it took him roughly 32 years from when he started working for Benjamin Graham at age 24 up to his 56th birthday to earn 1 billion, or his first billion. But it just 37 years to earn his next $129 billion. He's earned 1 billion in 32 years, and he's earned 129 billion in 37 years. That is wild. And that is exactly the definition of compounding. And Warren Buffett created one of the history's greatest compounding machine, got out of its way and allowed it to work on his behalf. Money invested earlier in time typically grows more than money invested later in time. And compounding money is easier than saving money. So once you're able to save it, make sure that you make every single use of it as much as possible in terms of creating yourself future wealth in order to fund your goals and reach maybe potentially that financial independence number faster, if that's what matters to you. Paraphrasing a well-known proverb, the best time to start was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. The average return compounded over long periods of times can produce extraordinary outcome. You don't need to be outsmarting the market. You don't need to be shooting the lights out. Average returns will compound, and I've never seen a plan not succeed by just capturing average returns. And in the recent times, you can look at my previous articles, we've been seeing stellar returns just by being broadly exposed to the general market. So lastly, I just want to touch on the 5 levels of financial wealth. So level 1 is the baselines. Your needs are met. That includes food and shelter. Your level 2 is once you've exceeded the baseline, now you're looking at modest pleasures become accessible. That includes meals at restaurants, simple vacations, spending on education. Number 3 is the baseline needs are no longer top of mind, and now you're focused on saving, investing, and compounding wealth. More significant pleasures, such as multiple vacations, are readily available. More aggressive asset compounding generally begins at this level 3. Now, level 4, most reasonable pleasures are readily available. Asset accumulation accelerates, and assets begin to generate passive income to cover some lifestyle expenses. This is key because you're getting really close to your financial independence, or closer. This is a level where moderate financial independence, as you can reduce your active income and continue to live the same lifestyle. This is when you can start to ease back from your efforts in your career or your business, and then you can start using some passive assets to supplement the gap if there's any. And then level 5, all pleasures are available. Asset accumulation reaches escape velocity. Asset accumulation reaches escape velocity, and assets generate passive income in excess of all lifestyle expenses. This is the level of complete financial independence, as you can remove all active income and continue to live the same lifestyle. This is the true definition of financial independence, when all your expenses are covered by passive income. And this is based on your definition of your enough life. What does it mean to have enough? And then once you've defined what does it mean to have enough, this is why you need to focus on your income until you get there. And then you need to control your expenses along the way. And you need to be maximizing the gap between your income and your expenses to reach that financial independence number. So if there's one idea I want you to walk away with today, is this: that wealth is not just what sits on your balance sheet. It's how you spend your time, the quality of your relationship, the strength of your body, the clarity of your mind. And yes, it's also the financial capital that gives you options, but financial wealth matters. But money alone doesn't build you a rich life. It simply enables the other forms of wealth to exist. And the mistakes I think that many high performers make is that they spend decades optimizing only one category on the scoreboard: more income, more assets, more success on paper, while time, relationship, health, and purpose quietly fall behind. The goal is not to abandon your financial ambition, the goal is integration. Because at the end of the day, the wealthiest people are not necessarily the ones with the highest net worth. They're the ones who build a life they actually enjoy living. So I want to leave you with one simple question. If you looked at your life through the lens of these five types of wealth, which one are you currently over investing in? And which one might need more attention? The question alone can change how you design the next decade of your life. If this conversation resonated with you and you want help building that kind of integrated life, that's exactly the work that I do with clients. You can find my contact information in the show notes. And with that, thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next episode of the Personal CFO Podcast.